Look, I know what your YouTube feed looks like right now. It's a sea of red arrows, fire emojis, and thumbnails of guys with their hands on their heads screaming, "Market crash," or "Dealers are doomed." You've seen Carriage, you've seen Kurt Kreifels. You've seen the finance bros who suddenly became automotive experts overnight. And the funny thing is, for the first time in a long time, they aren't just clicking bait. They actually onto something. But they missing the nuance that actually matters to your wallet. It is the 22nd of December, 2025. We are staring down the barrel of the end of the year. And if you are standing in a dealership showroom right now, you are standing in a crime scene where the victim is the dealer's floor plan account. Let us cut through the noise and talk about what is actually happening on the ground, because I am tired of seeing people get fleeced just because they saw a video saying prices are down. Yes, prices are softening, but it is not a charity event out there. It's a strategic retreat by manufacturers who got greedy. Remember 2022? Remember when you had to pay $5,000 over sticker for a Toyota RAV4 that didn't even have floor mats? Those days are dead and buried, and we are currently dancing on their grave. But don't pop the champagne yet, because the hangover is hitting the industry hard, and they are going to try to make you pay for the aspirin. The headline everyone is screaming about is the glut of 2025s, and it is real. We are sitting here in late December, and the data I'm seeing, real data, not dealer hearsay, shows that something like 40% of the inventory on lots right now is already 2026 models. That sounds normal, right? Wrong. That means there is a massive chunk of 2025 metal sitting there, gathering dust, aging like milk in the sun. Dealers are panicked because every day a 2025 model sits on their lot, they are paying interest on it. It's called floor plan interest. And right now, with rates where they are, that interest is eating them alive. They need that car gone. They need it off the books before the ball drops in Times Square. And this is a massive, but not all cars are created equal in this crash. You cannot walk into a Honda dealership and demand 40% off a Civic just because a Jeep dealer down the street is begging you to take a Gladiator. This is where the crash narrative gets dangerous for the average buyer. If you look at the numbers, brands like Toyota and Honda are still sitting pretty tight. They played it safe. They didn't overproduce. Their day's supply is hovering in that healthy 30 to 40 day range. They aren't desperate. You go in there acting like you hold all the cards and they will laugh you out of the showroom. However, if you want to see the apocalypse, go to a Stellantis dealer. Go look at Jeep. Go look at Ram. It is a bloodbath. I saw data recently putting their inventory supply at over 90 days. That is insane. That is 3 months of cars just sitting there. You have Jeep Wranglers and Grand Cherokees that have been parked so long they practically part of the real estate. They price these things for a market that doesn't exist anymore, trying to sell mid-tier SUVs for luxury prices, and the American consumer finally snapped and said, "Number." So now, you have these massive discounts appearing. But you have to ask yourself, is it a deal or is it a correction? If they jacked the price up by $10,000 last year and dropped it by $8,000 today, you are still paying $2,000 more than you should. Don't let the 15% off MSRP sticker fool you into thinking you winning. You just losing less. And then we have to talk about the electric elephant in the room. The EV market isn't just correcting. It's having an identity crisis. Ford F-150 Lightning sales are down something catastrophic. Like 70% in some months compared to last year. Ford is practically giving them away because the early adopters already bought one. And the average truck guy looked at the range while towing, looked at the price tag, and went back to his diesel. The inventory for EVs is stacking up because the government tax credits got messy, and the cool factor wore off. If you are in the market for an electric vehicle, you are the king of the castle right now. You can dictate terms, but you have to be careful because the depreciation on these things is falling faster than a brick off a building. Speaking of depreciation, let's talk about the used market, because this is where the real crash is happening. Specifically, Tesla. Oh boy, Tesla. If you bought a Model 3 or Model Y at the peak in 2022, I am genuinely sorry. I feel for you, because right now the used market is flooded with them. You can pick up a used Model 3 for under $25,000 all day long. Hertz dumped them. Private owners are dumping them to upgrade. And the result is a market saturation that has absolutely nuked resale values. It's great if you a buyer, seriously. A Model 3 for $20,000 is a steal for the tech you get, but it's a nightmare if you trying to trade one in. I've heard stories of people owing $40,000 on a car that's worth $22,000. That is negative equity that will follow you to your grave if you aren't careful. So, the YouTubers are right, prices are falling. But they are falling from a cliff that was artificially built too high. The average transaction price is still hovering near $50,000. Let that sink in. $50,000. For a car, that is not normal. That is not sustainable. The crash is really just a return to sanity. But it feels like a disaster to an industry that got addicted to record profits, and dealers are getting tricky. I've even reading the fine print on these December to Remember style ads. You know what I'm seeing? They are advertising massive discounts, but they are loading the cars with dealer add-ons again. Nitrogen in the tires for $500, pulse braking systems for $300, protection packages for $1,000. They are trying to claw back that profit margin on the back end. You have to be sharper than them. You have to walk in there with the stock number of the specific unit that has been sitting on their lot for 200 days. You can find this info online. Sites like Carriage help with this, and you say, I want this specific unit. I want it at this price, and I am not paying for your pinstripes. The financing aspect is the other shoe that hasn't fully dropped yet but is dangling by a thread. Interest rates have come down a tiny bit, but they aren't T0. Yet dealers are suddenly flashing 0% APR for 72 months on select models. Why? Because buying down the rate is the only way they can move the metal. It costs the manufacturer money to offer that rate. It's a subsidy. When you see 0% financing return to a brand, that is the smell of fear. That is the manufacturer admitting, we cannot sell this car based on its merits and price alone. We have to bribe you with free money. Take the bribe. If you can get a 0% loan in this economy, where a high-yield savings account pays 4%, you are technically making money by borrowing theirs. But let us get back to the specific models, because I want to give you something you can actually use. If you are looking for a truck, do not buy a Toyota Tacoma right now, unless you hate money. The new generation is out, inventory is tight, and dealers are still marking them up. Conversely, look at the Ram 1500. They have so many of them. They messed up the transition to the new engines. People are skeptical of the inline-6 Hurricane engine versus the Hemi, and the old stock is just sitting there. You can grind them into the dust on price. Same with the Ford F-150, specifically the higher trims. The Lariats and Platinums are sitting because nobody can afford a $90,000 truck with a 6% interest rate. On the SUV front, the family haulers are a mixed bag. The Kia Telluride and Hyundai Palisade, which used to be the golden children of market adjustment, are finally cooling off. You can get them at MSRP now, maybe even a little under. But the real deals are in the domestic segments. The Chevy Equinox, the Ford Edge, which is basically dead but still lingering. These are the cars that dealers just want gone. They aren't exciting. You won look cool picking your kids up in them, but you won be bankrupt. Either. And don't get me started on the luxury market. Mercedes and BMW are having a weird year. The high-end stuff, the G-Wagons, the M-Cars, still commands a premium. But the entry-level luxury, the C-Class, the 3 Series, and especially the electric EQ models from Mercedes, they are depreciating assets the second you sign the paper. The EQ models specifically are a disaster on the used market. If you want a luxury EV, buy it 1-year-old. Let the first guy take the $50,000 hit. It's the smartest money move you can make. So, is the market crashing? Yes and no. It's crashing for the sellers. It's crashing for the people who thought their car was an investment. But for you, the buyer, it's not a crash. It's an opportunity, but only if you navigate it with surgical precision. The end of the year pressure is real. Managers have quotas. They have bonuses tied to hitting a certain number of units by the 31st of December. If you walk in on the 30th of December, late in the afternoon, you might find a manager who is 2 cars away from a $50,000 bonus from corporate. That guy will lose money on a car just to hit his number. That is your target. But you have to be willing to walk away. That is the only power you have. The second you fall in love with the car, you lose. You have to look at that shiny new 2025 model and treat it like a commodity. It is a box of metal and glass that is costing them money every second it sits there. Remind them of that. Politely, professionally, but firmly. Also, watch out for the trade-in games. Because used car values are dropping, thanks, Tesla, dealers are going to lowball you on your trade. They will show you a great price on the new car and then offer you $3,000 less than your trade is worth. You need to separate the transactions. Get a quote from CarMax, get a quote from Carvana, get a quote from a local buyer. Have that number in your pocket. Do not let them muddy the water by mixing the trade-in and the new car price into one monthly payment. That is the Foursquare game, and it is designed to confuse you. Focus on the out-the-door price of the car you are buying and the cash value of the car you are selling. Keep them separate. To wrap this up, because I could rant about dealer tactics for hours, we are in a unique window. The supply chain is fixed, mostly production is humming, but demand has fallen off a cliff because groceries cost twice what they used to and rent is astronomical. Cars are the first thing people cut back on, this mismatch. High supply, low demand is Econ 101. Prices must come down. They are coming down, but they are fighting it every inch of the way. The car market crash isn't an explosion. It is a slow leak, but right now, in late 2025, that leak is turning into a spray. If you need a car, focus on the 2025 leftovers. Focus on the brands that are hurting: Stellantis, Nissan, some Ford models. Avoid the brands that are arrogant: Toyota, Porsche. And for the love of everything holy, stay away from used Teslas unless you are buying one dirt cheap because that floor has not been found yet. Be smart, be cynical. Don T believe the market adjustment sticker. That sticker is a wish list, not a price tag. Good luck out there. You're going to need it. You know, I was thinking about this more as I drove past a row of unsold Chevy Silverados earlier. It's actually kind of funny. For 3 years, dealers treated customers like they were doing them a favor by allowing them to buy a car. Oh, you want a test drive? Put down a deposit first. Oh, you don't too like the price? Next. The arrogance was palpable. You could feel it in the air. And now the tables have turned so hard it's giving them whiplash. I got an email yesterday from a local dealer, a generic "we miss you" blast. This is the same dealer that laughed at me in 2023 when I asked for MSRP. Now they are offering to wash my car for free if I just come in and look at inventory. It's pathetic, but it's also satisfying. But let's dig deeper into the why. Why is this happening now? In December 2025, it is not just overproduction. It's a miscalculation of the American consumer. Automakers bet big on high-trim, high-margin vehicles. They killed the cheap car. Try to find a new car for under 25 grand. It's basically a Mitsubishi Mirage or a used bus pass. They forced everyone upmarket. But wages didn't go upmarket. So you have this ceiling where people physically cannot get approved for the loans. Banks are tightening up too. Delinquencies are up. Repossessions are up. The banks are looking at these inflated invoices and saying, no, we aren't lending 60 grand on a Jeep Compass. So the dealers are stuck with metal they can finance. This credit crunch is the silent killer of the car market right now. And let's talk about the 2026 model year psychology. It's December. In a few weeks, a 2025 car is technically 1 year old in the eyes of the market, even if it has 10 miles on it. The second the calendar flips to 2026, that 2025 model on the lot takes another depreciation hit. Dealers know this. They are terrified of having birthdays for their cars. That S-industry slang for a car that sits on the lot for a full year. There are 2024 models still sitting on some lots. Can you imagine buying a new 2024 in 2026? That car should be 50% off. But dealers are stubborn. They are holding the line, hoping a sucker walks in. Don't be the sucker. If you are looking at the charts from Carriage, pay attention to market day supply. Anything over 60 is a buyer's market. Anything over 100 is a fire sale. I saw some stats for the Dodge Hornet. Remember that thing? The rebadged Alfa Romeo that nobody asked for. The supply on those is astronomical. You could probably walk in, offer them a ham sandwich and a firm handshake, and drive out in a Hornet. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but not by much. That is the kind of car you buy if you just need transportation and don't care about resale value. Because that car's value is going to zero faster than you can blink. On the flip side, look at the hybrid market. While EVs are crashing, hybrids are holding strong. The Toyota Prius, the RAV4 hybrid, the Honda CR-V hybrid. People want these. They bridge the gap. They save gas but don't require a lifestyle change. So paradoxically, while the market is crashing, the hybrid segment is actually quite stable. If you are waiting for a crash on a RAV4 Prime, keep waiting. You'll be waiting until 2030. This is the nuance I am talking about. You can T-paint the whole industry with one brush. I also want to touch on the direct-to-consumer model. Tesla started it, Rivian does it, Lucid does it, they don't have dealers. They just lower the price on the website. This transparency has actually hurt the traditional dealers. When Tesla cuts prices by $2,000 overnight, everyone knows. When Ford wants to cut prices, they have to issue incentives, communicate with dealers, hope the dealers pass it on. It's messy. The legacy automakers are moving too slow. The crash is exposing the inefficiency of the dealership model. We are watching a slow-motion car wreck of the entire franchise law system. And what about the insurance? Nobody talks about this in the reviews. You buy that cheap used Tesla or that depreciated Kia, and then you call your insurance agent. Bam, your premium doubles. Why? Because repair costs are through the roof. Sensors, cameras, calibration. A fender bender isn't a bumper fix anymore. It's a $3,000 electronic recalibration. This is pushing total cost of ownership up, which suppresses demand even further. It's a vicious cycle. So here is my final verdict for the end of 2025. If you don't need a car, do not buy a car. Let them sweat. Let the inventory pile up higher. Let the interest payments bleed them a little longer. The longer we hold the line, the better the deals will get in January and February. The December is the best time to buy. Myth is true only because dealers are desperate. But January is when they are hungover and regretful. That can be a good time too. But if you must buy, be ruthless. Use the data. Watch the inventory counters. If a car has been there for 100 days, you own that negotiation. I'm seeing comments from people saying, I am waiting for 2019 prices. Listen to me closely. 2019 prices are never coming back. Inflation happened. The dollar is worth less. Raw materials cost more. Labor costs more. A $30,000 car today is the equivalent of a $22,000 car in 2019. We have to accept the new baseline. The crash is bringing us back to reality, but it's a new reality. It's a higher floor. Don't wait for a $15,000 new Honda Civic. It doesn't exist. It's a ghost. Stay safe, stay skeptical, and keep your wallet closed until they pry it open with a deal so good it makes them cry. That's the only way to win in the great car market crash of 2025.